Hey everybody, Rosematter here, and welcome to my new Let's Play series. So, earlier this year, I played the house in Fata Morgana, and absolutely loved it. Probably one of the best stories I've experienced, not just in a visual novel, but like, just in general. And I just love the characters, for all their faults. Like, they felt like real people, because they weren't, like, perfect people. Like, they had their faults, they had their motivations, and their beliefs you may not, like, fully agree with, but through the story you at least kind of understood why they did the things that they did. And two characters specifically kind of, like, embody that, and that is Morgana and Jacopo. And in the original game, there was, like, the backstory of their relationship, and unfortunately it did not end well for them. So this is kind of like a prequel, I guess, a spin-off. It feels more like a prequel. I believe this is kind of the story behind Jacopo and Morgana's relationship, goes into more in-depth about them. So yeah, people have been asking me to play this since I finished House in Morgana, so if you guys have not played it yourself or watched it, definitely do that first, because you probably won't understand too much about this if you haven't seen the original. So I will have my playlist linked if you guys want to check that out, or if you want to play it yourself. But yeah, I'm excited to get back into this this world again and learn more about these two characters. And so yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the story and see what happens to them. Hear me speedily, O Lord, my spirit faileth. Hide not thy face from me, lest I be like unto them that go down into the pit. Oh no, it's going too fast. Deliver me, Lord, from mine enemies. I flee unto thee to hide me. Teach me to do thy will, for thou art my God, thy spirit is good. Quicken me, O Lord, for thy name's sake, for thy righteousness' sake. Bring my soul out of trouble, and of the mercy cut off mine enemies, and destroy them that afflict my soul. For I am thy servant. Cheers, a saint's blood, and good fortune to all. Oh, wow, okay, well, damn. This is... Woo, I wasn't expecting this so early on. We're just jumping right into the awfulness, aren't we? I may have to censor this. Voices. So many voices. That's right, it's the Lord that would, like, feast on her blood and give it to other people, like those parties that he threw. Laughing, laughing, laughing. Was this the 10th such party? The 20th? I no longer had any idea. The Lord's guest merrily drank of my blood. My father had not blessed me with his miracle, so wealthy nobles could fill their goblets with it. My blood was for the poor, for the infirm and the destitute. Why am I here? Why am I not doing my father's work? With each passing moment, my body grew colder and colder, while a mad, fiery fervor spread among the partygoers. Father, it hurts. My soul hurt far more than my body. It felt like it was cracked into a dozen places, about to shatter. Again and again, I've told myself it was just a trial, that God was simply testing me, but I didn't think I could bear it much longer. A horrible black miasma. Ooh, that was a little something there. Horrible black miasma spilled from the wounds of my flesh, filling the room. It was probably an illusion, something only I could see. Oh, doing it again. The miasma soon began consuming my spirit. It's funny, I had a conversation with someone not too long ago about, like, our favorite words. I love the word miasma, but it does not have a pleasant definition to it at all. It's actually something that's really not a good thing, but it's just such a pleasant sounding word. All my life I spent telling myself to be pure, just, righteous, and all of that was corroding away, ripping me asunder. Father, O Lord, of thy mercy, cut off mine enemies, and destroy all of them that afflict my soul. For I am thy servant. I am thy servant. Please, O Father, deliver unto these sinners thy holy judgment. Cast them down into the depths of hell. Oh, that's like some creepypasta shit. Ooh, that's real. That's real. Ooh, do not like that. For the sins they would commit against thy faithful servant. Disguised as a prayer, I cursed them. For the first time in my life, I wished someone ill. I did what a saint, what the daughter of God must never do. And in that moment, I committed a sin greater than anyone else in that room. I don't know about that. Oh, and there's the disfigurement. Okay, I can't remember if that is how she actually got the scars and everything on her face, or like that the patchiness on her face was that it just appeared from her cursing someone. I guess it's the whole thing about, like, you know, your sins, like the ugliness inside shows up on the outside or something like that. I would disagree with her that cursing someone who does this to you is not on the same level as somebody actually doing that to you, but that's just me. The girl, look at her face. I began to hear panicked voices rising up around the hall. However, I was completely oblivious to the cause of the unrest. In fact, I assumed perhaps God had heard my wish and struck down some of the partygoers. The Lord marched over to where I sat in chains, grabbing me by the hair and yanking my head up. In his other hand he held a sword. A disgusted grimace was carved onto his face, as though he was looking down at the filthiest thing in the world. You're a damned witch wearing a saint's skin. Hey, there's my boy Jacobo. This is worse than I expected. The stench of rotting flesh hung in the air. Corpses were strewn about the room in varying states of decay. Blood pooled on the floor, black and thick as mud. Oh, that's right, because he came in to do, like, the revolt against the Lord. And I think that's when he met Morgana. An eyeball hung loose from one body, half decomposed, and about as much a liquid as it was a solid. On many, white bone was visible through patches of flesh that had rotted away entirely. Man, I forgot how good this game is at having really, like, in-depth descriptions about horrible things that just make you picture it. Some had been worked to death. Others died of any number of diseases. And they were the lucky ones. Several bodies bore stab wounds from head to toe. Others looked like someone had tried to rip them in two. Some had been burned until their entire bodies shriveled. And some were covered in blisters. There was no shortage of people who had obviously been tortured. Though the man on the other end of the torture, the Lord Barnier, thought of it as more of a leisure activity. The Lord was spoken of in whispers as the second coming of the great tyrant of old, though it wasn't until I snuck into his manor and saw it for myself that I truly understood how accurate that was. He was a damned psychopath. I apologize I couldn't make it in time to save you all, too. I'm hardly a religious man. But for you, I think I can spare a prayer. Rest in peace. Yeah, Jacobo, like, back in this time when, like, he was younger, like, he did seem like a pretty righteous person who truly did want to do good for the poor and the destitute. And then he ended up becoming what he hated when he, like, came into power. It's the whole thing about, like, you know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain or something like that. I'm not myself today, though I suppose that shouldn't be a surprise considering what today is. I wonder if that girl from the other day is among the dead. No, I need to stay focused. If this goes south, I'll be the one joining this pile of bodies. God, I'm starting to get a little nervous. Don't go weak in the knees now, Jacobo. How can I ever expect to go out into the world if I can't even keep myself together for something as straightforward as this? I can do this, no problem. Let's start ourselves a revolt. It all began a little over 2 weeks earlier. The local lord's iron-fisted rule was destroying the commoners. And this went doubly for those living in poverty, who were barely scraping by before taxes. You could hardly take 3 steps out in the slums without hearing someone curse the Lord. I have no idea who first proposed the plan. Everything came together so smoothly, so quickly, it's almost a blur. What started as the everyday litany of complaints hurled back and forth between the usual crew of young, indignant men in the pub soon escalated, ballooning into a full-fledged plot to strike back. He treats us like dog shit. We're the ones working his goddamn land. Let's give the bastard what's coming. Over the next few days, word of the plot spread through the slums. The number of volunteers grew at an impressive pace. And the more people we had on board, the more realistic it all started to become. While the original plan amounted to charging in headlong with whatever weapons we could scrounge together, it quickly evolved into a more sensible scheme to infiltrate the Lord's manor and free his slaves. It was no secret the Lord was purchasing far more slaves than he should have any reasonable use for. What we didn't know was what he did with the slaves. that the banquets he so loved to throw were actually sick, sadistic torture parties. The best we could do was infer their living conditions were less than ideal from the fact that the Lord kept acquiring more. And while the plan to free the Lord's slaves was undeniably rooted in a righteous desire, I'd be lying if I said everyone's intentions were so pure. We wanted to right an injustice, absolutely, but the prevailing desire was for vengeance, to give the Lord a little comeuppance. Part of it was also calculated, that it would be advantageous for it to look like a slave revolt rather than a civilian uprising. If we struck from the outside, we were liable to bring the Lord's wrath down upon more than just the handful of us involved. But if the blow came from the inside, he couldn't blame us. Secondly, the Lord's mansion sat atop a hill, which meant his soldiers had the advantage of terrain. It would be nigh impossible for a band of lowly, ill-equipped peasants to break through his defenses, and we certainly didn't have the money to hire mercenaries. No amount of righteous anger was getting us anywhere near that manor. On the other hand, quietly getting one person inside to stir the pot was far more feasible. So ultimately, freeing the slaves was a means to an end. It was our best chance to deal the Lord a real blow. Of course, that didn't mean we wouldn't save as many people as we could, nor did it mean it would be easy to pull off, or that any of us would make it out alive. The plan went as follows. We would find a slave trader willing to sell one of us to the Lord. Once they had infiltrated, they would spread word of the scheme to the other slaves, trying to get as many of them on board as possible. Finding a slave trader willing to cooperate was surprisingly easy. They're businessmen, and slaves are their product. While the majority didn't give a damn what happened to the slaves after they received payment, there were more than a few who were displeased knowing their precious wares were being squandered. Slaves are supposed to be long-term workers. They're not meant to be expendable. They require food and rest, and some semblance of reasonable living conditions. It was far from a glamorous life, obviously, but most sensible slave owners at least had a vested interest in keeping their workers alive. However, that was far from the case with Lord Barnier. Okay, the name's French. I don't know if it's Barnier or Barnier, so you guys can correct me on that. I know that I kind of butchered some of the French words, the French names in the first one. I think it's Barnier, so maybe I'll just go with that, unless I'm corrected. Slaves were, of course, the property of whoever purchased them, and a mere slave trader had no place complaining about how they were being treated. That didn't mean the traders had to like it, though, and there was a small collective of them who staunchly refused to do business with the Lord, quietly mocking any who did. Nobody openly spoke ill of the Lord, let alone oppose him directly, not only because this land was under his control, but because he was a madman, and everyone knew it. So they would help us get in, and nothing more. But that was fine. That was all we needed from them to put our plan into action. And the vanguard of our operation, the one who would infiltrate the Lord's manor, was me. I volunteered for the position, partially in the heat of the moment, but also because I was confident I could pull it off. Above all, though, I didn't want to believe that I couldn't manage such a straightforward task. I had to step up and take initiative, or I would never escape this life as a poor, lowly slum dweller. Crawling through the dirt, everyone, nobles and peasants alike, looking down on me, thinking I'm worthless. That would be me for my whole pathetic life. Like hell, I was going to let that happen. I wanted to claw my way up as high as I could manage. I didn't want to surrender, to accept I was powerless. I wanted to make something of my one and only life. We chose the beginning of the Lord's next banquet for my infiltration, and that was when I saw the horror for myself. The abuse and torture he put the slaves through. It was a goddamn blood banquet. Oh, gosh. Man, there's no pretenses in this. Like, they are putting it right out right at the beginning. There was no, like, slow introduction to this world. It's just, like, immediate, like, this is horrible. Any mistake, no matter how small, would invite harsh discipline. Barnier was in a particularly foul mood that day. Or if Barnier was in a particularly foul mood that day, he would physically beat the wrongdoer. He had a particular fondness for activities that drew blood, though, and he would regularly gather together nobles with similar predilections at his manor. Once a banquet had begun, it generally continued for around 2 weeks. A party that lasts 2 weeks sounds like my worst nightmare. Like, oh man, my social battery would be drained day one. The first thing I did after infiltrating was spread word of the plan to the other slaves. To be honest, I assumed it'd be easy getting them to cooperate. They should have reviled Barnier more than anyone, after all. But I couldn't have been more wrong. Every ounce of willpower had been drained from them. They were malnourished, unrested, and violently oppressed. I could hardly have convinced them to swat a mosquito. He had them completely under his thumb. Everyone was utterly terrified to fight back against Barnier. They would just as soon take their own lives. Hardly a day in, and the plan already seemed to have hit a wall. A full week I spent trying and failing to convince a single soul to assist in the revolt. Just as I was beginning to fear it might not work after all. Holy, well, hello, what a... Yeah, that guy's like a brick house. Definitely doesn't look malnourished to me. We need to talk. Come with me. He was a tall, muscular slave who spent most of his time doing physical labor. Despite the poor conditions, he seemed to be keeping himself in rather good shape. Dude looks like a cage fighter or something. And unlike the other slaves, his eyes weren't filled with fear and resignation. But it wasn't hope I saw in them either. Rather, they looked like the eyes of a bloodthirsty wolf. And his unkempt, greasy blonde hair only served to amplify the primal impression he gave off. Between that and the faint, cocky smirk visible on his lips, he more resembled the head of a gang of ruffians than a slave. I wasn't sure it was entirely wise to accompany him anywhere. But against my better judgment, and with far too little information, I followed the man to the great hall. There were a dozen or so nobles and upperclassmen and women clustered about the hall. The air was filled with the scent of aromatic herbs, and it wasn't long before I realized they were meant to mask the smell of blood. A large table was lined with plates stacked with piles of glistening, dark red meat. Noblemen sneered at us with wet lips as we entered the room. The contrast between the nobles' practiced, graceful mannerisms and the grotesque feast of which they were partaking was so bizarre I simply stood there aghast. There was no room for anger to form. The lord stood on a platform like a small stage at the far end of the room. Oh my goodness. Oh, he's creepy looking. I think this is our first time actually seeing what the lord looks like. It's like a vampire with his goblet of blood. Are you the slave who offered to be the day's entertainment? The buff man nodded, dropping down to one knee. What does he mean by entertainment? Surely you're tired of merely inflicting pain on helpless slaves. Would you, by chance, be interested in something a little more exciting? Could you be any more disrespectful? Lord Barnier, you do best to rid yourself of barbarians such as him. There, give the poor man a break. You can't expect an uneducated slave to be properly versed in the ways of polite society. Now, elaborate, slave. Me and him, we duel, right here, right now. Okay. Do you seriously think we haven't already pit slaves against each other numerous times by now? If that's all, tell me, were they as vigorous as the two of us? Young and chomping at the bit? Well, if all you want to see is a couple of half-dead slaves limply flailing at each other, then help yourselves. But you're not gonna find many here what can give you a fight with some real oomph, you know? I mean, he might be able to fight with oomph. I don't know about, Jacopo. He's a little slight. I don't know, he doesn't look like he's got a lot of muscle on him. Hell, I could see Jacopo as being scrappy, but I don't think I'd stand a chance against this guy. Half the slaves here'd probably keel over with just a little shove. So I figured you might be up for a little change of pace. A barbarian like me. Whoa, I never agreed to this. Suck it up, you're a slave. Since when have you had the right to agree to anything? I'm guessing this guy's got some sort of ulterior motive for doing this. You make a compelling argument. Requiem, was it? My lord knows my name. I'm honored. I only remembered because you came very highly recommended. God, I do not like Barnier's just when he grins. Ugh. The slave trader said you were descended from a line of warriors that made a name for themselves fighting in the ancient Colosseum. I had assumed he was exaggerating, but perhaps there was some truth to it after all. Who can say? Couldn't tell you about my ancestors, but what I can tell you is I just love a good duel. Fought in the Colosseum, descended from gladiators, and I'm supposed to go one-on-one against him? Very well. Guards, bring these two swords. Sir. Shit. What is he hoping to accomplish? To win Barnier's favor? I guess I'll just have to hope I can catch him by surprise as soon as... Hey kid, listen up. I knew it. He's got a plan. Maybe he's setting up this duel so that they'll give us weapons. And then maybe that'll be the thing that, like, with us armed, we'll be able to, like, start You know, the rebellion. What? Eyes forward, and keep it down. Listen carefully. Don't get any wise ideas, got it? Just go along with it. Everything on the level. What are you scheming? You'll find out soon enough. Assuming you can handle a sword, anyhow. 2 guards approached us, each carrying a longsword. It was heavier than I expected, and it felt awkward in my hands. Both of our blades were badly chipped, clearly old and battle-worn. Of course, they wouldn't give new quality weapons to a pair of slaves, but a sword was still a sword. Beaten though they may have been, I still had to be careful, or I'd be dead before I ever got the slave revolt off the ground. That said, I had survived this long in the slums. I wasn't completely helpless, and I had experience with a dagger, though I wasn't sure how much help that would be now. The longer 2-handed weapon still felt awkward in my hands. As I squinted at the blade's hilt and adjusted my grip, trying to familiarize myself with the feel of it, Barnier took a seat, readying himself to spectate. That's when I caught sight of what lay beneath, or what lay hidden at the back of the stage. What? Oh, that's his first time seeing Morgana. I stood there, staring agape, completely forgetting I was but moments from a duel with a man twice my size. At the back of the stage was what looked like an altar draped in a thick white sheet and stained red. Atop it sat a young girl covered in gashes. Her head was drooped, so I couldn't see her face, but judging from her size, I didn't think she could be more than 10 years of age. Some wounds were older, and some had already scabbed over. Some were swollen, bright red protrusions on her pale skin. Some were oozing pus, and others were so fresh they were still bleeding. It was difficult to find a part of her body that wasn't cut. Hey, what do you think you're doing to that girl? I don't care who you are. No one deserves that. Even as I shouted at the Lord, the girl remained motionless. She seemed unconscious. Not dead yet, but it wouldn't be long. Silence, cur. I don't recall giving you permission to speak. Or, if you'd rather lose your head right now, continue on as you are. Damn despo. Now, go on, get started. Give us a show befitting of this grand affair. Fighting my urge to snap back at him, I turned to face the slave named Requiem. The other guests lined the walls, whispering among themselves, speculating about the potential victor. The crowd was so overwhelmingly in Gretien's favor, to absolutely no surprise. They didn't even bother taking bets. Try not to go down in one blow, kid. Hold on, what's the point of this? Slowly, Gratien lowered into a crouch, and the next second he leapt at me like a tiger. There was an audible whoosh, and before I even had time to gasp, he was mere inches away. What choice do I have? Damn, I mean, I guess whatever this guy's plan is, like, he has to make it look legit, but I mean, if Jacopo wasn't fast enough, he could have just been killed right then and there. I swung my sword up, catching Gratien's blade mid-descent and attempting a parry, but there was far more weight in his strike than I expected. The impact caused my hands to sting painfully and my knees to buckle. I clenched my teeth, trying at the very least to hold my ground. Rah! Gratien barely gave me time to recover, let alone strike back, before launching into a second attack. He handled the longsword so effortlessly, swinging it through the air in such impressive, perfect arcs, I could hardly believe we were both using the same weapon. Ha! I twisted out of the way, but not quite in time. The tip of his blade skimmed the skin of my neck. And then, not even giving me a chance to catch my balance, he thrust his blade at me. I don't know, I was like, this guy seems pretty serious about wanting to take Jacopo down. While I managed to deflect the attack just in time, I wasn't able to follow through. Meanwhile, a wide, mocking smirk spread across Gratien's face. He seemed to be having the time of his life. Come on, kid. You're gonna have to do better than that if you want to keep your head. Seems like he just, like you said, he just likes to fight. I rattled off several insults in my head, but unlike him, I couldn't spare the energy to put them into words. Pick it up, boy. Ha, ha, ha. God damn. That all you got, kid? I thought you'd fare a little better. Shut your damn mouth. I was stuck on the defensive, and with every strike, he pushed me farther and farther back. I was almost up against the wall. I thought he said this was part of some plan. Or was he just trying to get me to let my guard down? He's conspiring with the Lord. He must be. Why challenge me to a duel, though? Did someone spill word of the plan to him? Come on, come on. Give your best shot, boy. Yes, very funny. You know damn well I'm barely managing as it is. You gotta at least try. We don't want to put our audience to sleep now, do we? Ugh. Even the bones in my forearms are starting to sting. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. Here, let me show you how it's done. Ugh. God, I can't get a damn inch on him. Much more of this and I'll be up against the wall. I'm dead if I don't go on the offensive. Now's my last chance while I've still got breathing room. Hey, big guy, you may think you have the advantage, but not for long. Ha, that's rich. Coming from a guy who can't even get one swing in on me. It was all a trick to get your guard down. I've been saving this one just for you, meathead. Good luck dodging it, with that hulking body of yours. Now that's more like it. Let me have it, kid. Like I said, Jacopo's scrappy. He's slight and scrappy, whereas this guy's like... I mean, obviously he's still pretty quick despite being big, but let's see what Jacopo's got in mind. I hopped backwards a couple paces until my heel was pressed up against the wall. There was no backing down, not anymore. Breathing heavily, I lifted my blade, pointing it at Gratien. He pointed his in turn, a cocky grin plastered on his face. And then I kicked off the ground, hard, sending me flying toward him. My sword held down near my waist, his above his head. And then, whoosh. He whiffed, his blade ripping through the air just over my head. The mere force of the gale created by his swing was so intense. For a brief moment, I thought he might have knocked my head clean off my shoulders. But I was still breathing, and despite the exhaustion, my mind was incredibly clear and focused. I hadn't swung up at him, but slid across the floor. Your back's wide open. I lurched to my feet, spinning around, and swung my sword at his neck with everything I had. Ah! What? But my would-be grand comeback was deflected from behind without a bat of an eye, and hardly a wimpy deflect, for that matter. My hands felt like they were on fire. Little bit on the dirty side, but hey, not half bad, kid. Damn it. Just a little more oomph to that swing, and you might have landed it. Too bad, too bad. And Jacob was like, damn, that's all I had. I don't stand a chance against him head on, but he's not one to fall for the same trick twice. I need a new plan. Back against the wall with ya. So Gratien seems to want to put Jacopo against the wall for some reason. Maybe he knows something? Maybe there's something on that wall? Gah. What's the matter, kid? That all you got? After all that talk, I was expecting a little more from ya. Gah. Ha, ha. He's got me completely under his thumb. I'm dead if I don't do something, but I can barely lift my arms anymore. Ha, ha. It's getting harder to breathe. My vision's going blurry. I can't die yet. Not here, not now, and not to this damn brute. There has to be something, an opening I'm not seeing. Anything. Some way to turn the tables. Am I imagining it? Or did I react to that quicker than usual? Is he doing what I think he's doing? Patterns were forming in my mind. I'd been through this routine so many times now, my body instinctively knew what came next. I'd parried his strike entirely by reflex. I wasn't so full of myself as to think it was a sign I was gaining the upper hand. As much as I loathed to admit it, he had every imaginable advantage over me. I should have realized what he was doing sooner, but I'd been so focused on keeping my head attached and my sword in my hands that I didn't have the spare mental capacity to see beyond that. He was in complete control. The only reason I was able to keep up with him was because he was letting me. Because he was repeating the same sequence of attacks again and again. He's like a boss fight when you start to realize, like, the pattern and you're able to actually fight back now. If I'm right, then next, he'll come from above. Oh! Right on the money. So, I mean, Gratien was really banking on that Jacopo was going to be able to, like, figure out what was going on and be able to figure out the pattern and not die before then. A clang like the pealing of a bell echoed through the hall as our blades collided. It was a much cleaner, more satisfying sound than they had made when I was struggling to keep up. I still don't know what he's scheming, but I'm not going to throw away this chance to win back some ground. Sparks flew with each clash of our swords, and Gratien's smirk grew wider. I could hear murmuring bubble up in the gallery as the tides turned. Cheering, cursing, confused gasps. But before long the sound seemed to grow distant. It was just me and Gratien in a bubble of silence. Not even the sound of metal striking metal. my heavy breathing, the stomping of our feet, the distractingly loud pounding of my heart, the blood pumping through my veins. I like how the music is also starting to kind of lower as he's like laser focused. It all wisped away into nothing. Every one of my senses was focused on exactly two things: the image of our swords cutting clear arcs through the air, and Gratien's intent. "That's it. Next, overhead," he whispered so quietly that by all rights I could never have heard it. But his intentions came through loud and clear. As if being controlled by that voice, I swung my sword down. After about a half-dozen so clashes, we locked blades and had a brief shoving match before putting a little distance between each other. And then we went at it again. To the audience, it would have looked like a fierce battle to the death, but it felt more like we were dancing than anything. Well, he was dancing. I was merely following his lead. But if that was his plan, whatever his plan was, I had no choice but to dance to his beat. The only thing improvisation would get me is a sword through the heart. Meanwhile, sticking to the plan, I had nothing to worry about. No reason to fear his sword might go off course. After several more fierce clashes, we got in close again. We were both breathing pretty heavily by that point. I was drenched in sweat, and it felt like I'd collapse right then and there if I loosened up for even a second. Gratien tossed a glance off to the side for the briefest of moments. His lips came together, curling up into a smile. "Listen up. 3 paces back, then charge. Swing down as hard as you can. Put everything you've got into it." As soon as I signaled my acknowledgement, Gratien parried my sword off to the side. 1, 2, 3 paces back. Then I gathered my strength into my legs. I crouched, like he had at the beginning of the duel, envisioning myself as a tiger ready to pounce. And then we leapt at each other in perfect sync. What? The harsh sound of metal striking metal, more piercing than anything else up to that point. For a heartbeat, the world went white. Then, the whoosh of something ripping through the air. It wasn't for another second or two that I realized what had happened. Breathing heavily, I looked down at the sword in my hands, only to find half of it missing. Gratien's blade appeared to have snapped as well. The gallery began buzzing. "Are you all right? How dreadfully dangerous." Heh. A perverse grin spread across Gratien's lips. I finally understood what he had been scheming. He wanted the swords to break, and he wanted it to look like an accident, hoping when the shattered blades went flying, a noble or two would be caught in the crossfire. Really? That was his plan? Hoping that, like, maybe, like, the blade might get the Lord or something? I don't know. That seems like a lot of work for that. I feel like that there's more to it than that. I don't know. That explained the whole song and dance, why he had us hitting each other's blades in the same spots again and again. But how the hell would you ever expect that to work? That said, if the fight had gone on much longer, I don't think I would have lasted. His plan seems to have gone about as well as you could reasonably expect. One piece landed near Barnier, and the other embedded in a table. That's fine by me. I'd rather avoid causing any more of a scene before the actual revolt. Not that I'd be opposed to seeing any of these madmen skewered. Gratien wiped the sweat from his brow with the back of his hand and surveyed the room. As obviously outclassed as he was by all the nobles, he still seemed much larger than anyone else in the room. He took a few moments to catch his breath, then sauntered over to the center of the great hall, taking another good look around the room before saying, "Apologies for the disturbance, my lord. While ordinarily a duel's supposed to end with someone dead, it looks like that's out of the question today. So, mayhap we can reschedule. Put on another show in a day or two if you'd like." Ah, okay, maybe his plan was to intentionally get the weapons to break so that maybe they, like, if it's rescheduled, give them better weapons, and then they'll attack. Barnier seemed less than pleased with the outcome, but considering how rattled his guests were, he couldn't press the matter either. Maybe it's just like a whole thing is like, nobody actually died, and Barnier probably wants to see somebody die, so he's like, okay, we're unsatisfied by this, so we'll do it again. Very well. Now I believe you two deserve a reward for such a fine show. Ooh, what kind of reward? One I'm sure you'll be quite pleased with. The leftovers from today's feast, gourmet cuisine the likes of which you mere slaves could only dream of getting your dirty hands on. You mean those bleeding scraps of mystery meats? Worry not. There's pork in there. Not it is pork, just there's some pork in there. Or does your religion prohibit you from eating pig? Nah, I gave up on religion long ago. I'm fine with eating meat. Most meat, anyway. I'll have the other slaves bring it down this evening, then. Now, the show's over. Be gone with you. I know it's probably implying that they're, like, eating maybe the slaves or human meat. Mystery meat. Those are two words that should never be put together. Gone we be, my lord. I'm still concerned about that girl, but there's nothing I can do for her right now. I hope, hopefully she lasts long enough for the revolt. But with wounds like that... Hey, kid, pick your beat ass up and let's get out of here. I am not beat, thank you very much. I love how Jacopo, like, even though he was completely outclassed, he still has to be a little shit. Who are you trying to fool with your wheezing up a lung? Getting huffy about it only makes you look more pathetic. Piss off, you inhuman monster. Ha. Now, do have a wonderful day, ladies and gents. Once we were out of the hall and in the corridor, I took several deep breaths, finally letting loose some of the tension that had built up within me. As we made our way through the corridors, the sounds of the nobles laughing and chattering away amongst themselves faded into nothing. We headed for the rather barren waiting room where slaves without assignments were kept. In essence, it was a human closet. I looked up at Requiem, who was standing beside me. I had about a dozen things I wanted to say to him, but I couldn't organize my thoughts into words. So I simply shrugged and pursed my lips. Yeah, that was a shame. Huh? What was a shame? You were hoping to kill at least one noble when the swords broke, weren't you? Ha! If only. I'm not that skilled. Hell no. You could have fooled me. If anything, I'd say we're lucky it went as well as it did. It's a damn good thing they gave us their old crusty swords, or we'd never managed to break them at all. So he did want the swords to break. I'm guessing, like, it is because, like, he wanted there to be a rematch. If not to skewer one of the nobles, then why go to such lengths at all? Well, because otherwise we'd have to fight to the death, of course. Oh. No, that's not what I'm... Of course, we both know who'd be standing here, then. As much as I hate to admit it, he has me beat in almost every category. For God's sake, how did he even get that good with a sword? Is it hereditary or something? What I'm trying to figure out is what your ultimate objective was in that whole facade. Why challenge me to the duel at all? You're planning a revolt, aren't you, kid? What does that have to do with anything? Just answer the question. Denying it will only delay the inevitable, so no point in that. And I'm fairly certain he's not on the Lord's side, at least. If he were just trying to win the Lord's favor, I can't imagine the duel would have ended the way it did. I can probably trust him. Yes, I am. And I need the other slaves to help pull it off. But the little drones are being sucked of all their fight, and you can't get anyone on board. Why even ask the question if you already know the answer? Hey now, no need for the lip, kid. I brought it up because I'm trying to tell you I'm in. You're in? Excuse me? What about anything you've done today would make me think you're in? Bear with me for a sec, and put yourself in the other slaves' places. Some dick they never met before shows up out of the blue, saying, I've organized to have you all set free and I need your help to do it. You think they're gonna buy into it? Fair enough, but it is true I have people outside. It don't matter. You could be lying through your teeth and it wouldn't change a damn thing. All that matters is whether they think you're worth getting behind. I see your point. These slaves have been driven into the very depths of despair. They need someone charismatic enough to pull them out of that pit before they can be sparked to take any sort of action. I love how Jacopo is really just banking on, like, I'm so charismatic that they'll totally listen to me. Before infiltrating, I imagined it would be much simpler. It would seem that was rather naive of me. That was a whole lot of words to say the same thing I just said. Forget your fancy metaphors. It all boils down to this. Do you think they have a chance, or do you think you have a chance at pulling it off? Yes or no? These people, they don't got the energy to get all philosophical. They go with their gut. And the quickest way to their gut? Show them you're strong. Ah, now I'm starting to understand what the duel was for. Oh, he's testing him. The other slaves already know of your prowess. So if I were to fight on the same level as you, then they'd be willing to hear you out. Exactly. Whoa there, kid. Why the sigh? You trying to blow this place down? You could have easily accomplished that without putting on a damn show in front of the Lord and putting my life in danger. It wasn't just for the other slaves, kid. What do you mean? I wanted to make sure you weren't some yellow-bellied yellow-bellied pissant, that you're actually capable of doing what you promise. And now that I know you've got a semi-functional spine, I'm willing to help out with the revolt. Semi-functional, huh? Well, I'm glad I didn't disappoint you then. Given my performance back there, I couldn't blame you if you deemed me beyond hope. Give yourself a little more credit, kid. While I'm pretty sure the stories about my ancestors being gladiators are exaggerated, I did participate in a few death games myself back before I ended up here. You should consider it a badge of honor that you fought a brute like me and lived to tell the tale. I was under the impression the church put an end to gladiatorial games. Ah, right. It went underground. The rules may change, but not people. I think I joked that he looks like a cage fighter. I don't think I was too far off. He's like an underground cage fighter. Always a market for blood sports. Then, yada yada, I got sold to the Lord, and here I am. That probably explains what he meant when he said he'd given up on religion. So, what's your story, kid? My money's on some rich aristocrat what got it in his head he wanted to play hero and stop the big bad lord from being mean to his slaves. What the hell gave you that idea? You strike me as more of a prissy rich boy than a ruffian is all. I mean, yeah, like, I know that Jacopo is, like, done up in kind of rags and stuff, but, like, he does kind of look like a rich kid when you look at him. Like, the perfect hair. I don't know, yeah, he looks a little bit too groomed. And maybe it's also because the majority of the first game I saw him as, like, a rich prick that, like, you can't help but associate him with that. A prissy rich boy. Well, then again, when he's throwing around words like facade, can you blame him for thinking Jacopo's like a rich kid? I come from the slums, so no, I'm not just some upper-class punk playing hero. That a fact? Well, color me surprised. You sure don't talk or act like any of the slum boys I know. That's probably because... Nothing. And now I'm even more curious. Honestly, it's not that interesting, I promise. Forget I said anything. It's because I want to be able to blend in when I eventually leave the slums. But he doesn't need to know that. I only just met him. Whatever you say then. In that case, how about we do some proper introductions, huh? Name's Gratien, which you should already know. Nice meeting you, kid. Jacopo, I'm very glad to have your support, Gratien. Don't mention it. I've been wanting to make those scumbags eat dirt myself, and this is the perfect chance. Oh, right, one more thing I wanted to ask. What? How old are you? Excuse me? Is that relevant to anything? Geez, kid, someone really needs to teach you how to shut up and answer a simple question. I'm 19. Oh, thank God. I'm 20. Now I don't have to feel like an ass for calling you kid. I'm only a year younger. That hardly makes me a kid. A year's a long time, kid. Now that I've got that off my shoulders, I can put my all to helping with your revolt. I'm starting to wonder if I even want this guy's help. Once I had Grazia on board, it was remarkable how quick the rest of the slaves were to join in. They knew him, and they respected him, and that respect went a long way toward improving my own standing. As far as they were concerned, I had fought Gratien and managed to hold my own. And the big man was right. It wasn't a clever plan or a moving speech these people needed to put the light back in their eyes. It was a show of strength. Over the next few days, as Barnier and his guests indulged themselves, word of the plan quickly spread beneath the surface. I started to see signs of life for the first time since I'd arrived. The majority of the slaves were emaciated and weak. There was a good possibility the guards would kill many of them, but still, I urged on anyone who hesitated by saying, if you choose to stay, you're guaranteed to be killed eventually. It was true, to be sure, but in essence, I was threatening them, help or be left behind to die. And that was enough to convince them to grab onto the thread of hope I was offering, however frail it may be. We chose the 13th day of the banquet to commence the revolt. Waiting until almost the end of the party's usual 2-week duration gave us a slight tactical advantage. Naturally, Barnier's guests did not attend without their own protection. But after being made to watch almost 2 weeks of debauchery, the guards would start getting exhausted. They would stop caring. And that was exactly what we needed. Hey there, Jacopo. Everything's good to go on my end. We can give Lord Asshole what's coming whenever you're ready. Thank you. I appreciate all your help. Whoa there, kid. Save the thanks for after we get out of here with our heads still attached. Fair enough. Then how about this? We both survive, I'll take you to the best pub in the slums. As long as there are pretty ladies, count me in. There's one I can introduce you to, if you don't mind your girls headstrong with a little bit of bite. That's Maria. Tough and pretty? Now that I can get behind. I've spent so long surrounded by all these half-dead drones, I could sure stand for some good-natured abuse right about now. He's like, I need a girl to step on me. Good-natured might be a bit of a stretch. Rub her the wrong way, you'll find yourself short a pair of jewels. I think I'll pass on that one then. I don't care how much of a looker she is. I ain't ready for her to be my last. How about this then? I tell you what I'm looking for, and you have someone picked out for me by the time this is all over. Flexible in the looks, but slender and short are a must. Meaty girls ain't really my type. The way he's talking about, like, when we get out of this, like, we're gonna meet up and we're gonna, like, celebrate, makes me think Gratien's gonna die. I don't remember if he was mentioned at all in the first game. Maybe he dies during the revolt. Maybe he sacrifices himself so Jacobo and Morgana can get away. That's where I feel like it's leading up to. Blonde hair and blue eyes are a plus, but it ain't a deal breaker. And I like him to be a bit... Slow down there. You got your head way too far in the clouds if you think you're gonna find your ideal wife at a brothel in the slums. Hey now, how do you expect me to give this my all without something to look forward to on the other side? I suppose it's a decent motivator. See? You get me. I don't know, death flags popping up for me. For Gratien. Now, on to business. You ready to do this? I've been ready, kid. Just waiting for the word. That's about as good an answer as I could have hoped for. Before we begin, I want to go over the plan one last time. After you've secured weapons from the armory, you take command of the other slaves and go open the gates. While you're doing that, I'll signal to my people outside, then cause a diversion. As long as we don't make too much noise, the Lord and the other nobles shouldn't realize anything's amiss until we're on top of them. As soon as the gates are open, you head for the Great Hall, where we'll rendezvous. We crash the party, and while the Lord and his friends are distracted, my people will lead the slaves to safety. And then we swipe up all the shiny things we can carry, get our asses the high hell out of here. Right, can't forget the valuables. Huzzah, I'm getting all sorts of fired up. Don't you trip and fall on some guard's sword before we even get to start our fun, you hear me? Same to you. Well then, let's get going. Like, I'm not gonna say that they're buddy-buddy, but like, Gratien seems to be like a pretty big part of this whole plan going off, and like, I don't remember Jacopo mentioning him at all. May fate be on our side. Damn right. Hey, what do you think you're doing? You're not supposed to be here. Get back to... Ah! Stay back! Don't make me kill you. Wait, stop! You're up. Come on and draw your bloody cards already. Don't rush me, I'm thinking. On with it. It's almost lunch. If I hold this and throw away these, then I could... Christ. You hear that? It sounds like something's happening downstairs. Quit trying to distract me. I ain't letting you run off with a pot like last time. No, I'm serious. Something's going on down there. It's probably just a slave getting beat. How are you not used to that by now? I don't know. Something feels off to me. I'm gonna go check it out. And don't even think about messing with the cards while I'm gone. I won't. Hurry back. Ain't no bonus for giving a rat's arse, so it beats me what he's so eager about. God, I wish I could have gotten hired at a place that paid a little better. Am I seeing things? I swear I just saw something move. You, on the wall! Get down from there! What do you think you're doing? You're not supposed to be up... Put the knife away before I... Ha! You're up here playing cards and you have the nerve to call yourself a guard? I expected resistance to be light, but not this bad. I should take care of this and get out of here before the other one returns. It's amazing how much better a knife feels in my hand than a sword. So much easier to handle. Though it's not much help if they manage to draw on me first. Maybe I'll ask Gratien to teach me how to use a sword if we both make it through the day. Yeah, Gratien's not making it out. I hate the idea of giving him any more reason to claim superiority over me, but I can't think of anyone better than him. Keeping an eye on my surroundings, I climbed up onto the watchtower. I could hear shouting in the distance. It seemed Gratien was doing his job. I pulled a brightly colored cloth from my pocket and affixed it to the highest point in the tower. As it began flapping in the wind, I turned my attention toward a hill in the distance. A group of tiny dots emerged from behind a rock formation, heading this way. I let out a sigh of relief. Next up, time to make some noise. Back up. We need backup. The slaves are revolting. Revolting? Are you serious? What do you think you're carrying that damn sword for? You shouldn't need backup. Just put them down. Yes, but there are too many of them. And they're not messing around either. They're stampeding right through us. They don't care how many of them. They don't care how many of them die. And one of them's practically a giant. Oh, quit pissing yourself over a bunch of damn slaves. Who cares how big one of them is? They're not armed. Just behind you, huh? Ha! Sorry to disappoint you, but we are armed. Maybe you should consider posting another couple of guards in front of your armory. Eek! There he is, there he is, there he is! Come on, little man, let's see what you got. Ah! He's like, I don't get paid enough for this shit. Puh, you're no fun. Anywho, get these gates open, boys. Yeah! Oh, I take it those are Jacobo's people. Kid actually did his job instead of booking it the hell out of here. Good on him. Of course, that's exactly what I was going to do if I didn't see his people when we opened the gates. Guess he actually is good for his word. Which means I'm sticking through to the very end and gonna die, probably. Because he didn't just decide to run away. Hey, take out as many of the bastards as you can on your way in, and be thorough. We want a clean escape, and we don't want to give them a chance to surround us. Keep at it. Don't let them get organized. If we fuck this up the ass pipe, it's the gallows for all of us. If you need a weapon, grab a rock, a vase, a fucking decapitated head. Anything you can find. Gratier, how are things progressing? Smooth as a baby's behind. Your reinforcements here, making right good work of the guards and getting as many slaves out as they can. I'm glad to hear it. Then, let's head down to the Great Hall. Aye, let's. I'd like nothing more than to rip the Lord's head right off his shoulders. The point is not to kill the Lord. It's to deal just enough of a blow that he stops throwing so many damn banquets. For now, anyway. And what if I trip and my sword just happens to run through him? I'd rather you didn't, if at all possible, but whatever happens, happens. Hee hee. Alright, let's do this. I can't remember who was the one to kill the Lord, if it was Jacobo, if it was Grete, someone else. I'm surprised that after watching, like, all the stuff that he did, that Jacobo actually doesn't want to kill the Lord. Is it just me, or is it unnaturally noisy in there? Did some of the others beat us to it, maybe? Far as I know, we're the first ones here. Well, I guess we'll find out. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Chaos reigned over the manor, but the chaos in the hall where the Lord held his banquet was a slightly different flavor. Oh, that's right. Didn't, like, she curse them all? Like, Morgana? Like, didn't she, like, something happened and she, like, cursed everybody? A buzz filled the room. Noblemen and women murmured, shuffling backwards, putting distance between each other, tossing goblets to the ground. As Gratien had suspected, we were the first ones there. So why was everyone so tense? Whatever the cause of the disturbance, it seemed it was at least partially to thank for things proceeding so smoothly. The question is, what is happening here? Out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of the Lord. He stomped over toward the far end of the hall. Sitting atop the makeshift altar was the same young girl I had seen a week prior. For a brief moment, relief came over me as the knowledge she was still alive. But that relief quickly morphed into dread. You! He unlocked the shackles binding the girl. Ah, maybe Jacobo's going to be the one to run over and kill the Lord since, I can't remember, man. It hasn't been that long since I played Fata Morgana, but I can't remember, like, who killed the Lord. If it was Morgana herself, if it was Jacobo. I see Jacobo, like, just getting angry about him abusing Morgana and just stabbing him. Too weak to hold herself up, she fell forward into a slump, her long burgundy hair fanning out around her limp body. And then... You're a damned witch wearing a saint's skin. The Lord raised his sword high above his head. Okay, so this was just when, like, this was the first thing we saw when she got the, like, disfigurement on her face. The Lord raised his sword high above his head. Gratier, I'll be borrowing that. What? Hey, you little son of a... Well, I guess this answers that question. What? I hurled Gratier's long sword for the Lord, knocking his blade from his hands. The two swords rattled to the ground. I tossed my gaze to the girl for a split second. She was very clearly out of it, but she seemed to be breathing. Finally realizing a pair of slaves just burst in on them, The nobles' panic swelled. One of them started shouting for the guards. Well, fuck me sideways. There goes any chance we had at a surprise attack. Damn it all. We had the perfect distraction, too. Ah, to hell with it. Get in here, boys. Yeah! Wait a sec. I need my sword first. Oh, Gratien, are you gonna die because you don't have your sword because Jacopo took it? The next second, the room was enveloped in a cacophony of shouting and screaming and clanging. Most of the nobles carried swords, but very few actually seemed to have any idea how to use them, the majority scrambling for the back exit. You insolent worm! Who do you think I am? To threaten your lord is to slight God. Ever the cocky bastard, I see. Tell me, do you have any idea what's happening right now? Silence, cur. You will regret ever defying me. Ha! Nothing more original, you third-rate fairy tale villain. I was the only one who had said the Lord's death was not part of the plan. Yet there I was going straight for him. Gratien was absolutely right. The Lord had been distracted with the girl when we arrived, but I had thrown that advantage away. I'd seen God knows how many slaves killed in hardly 2 weeks' time. Adding another body to the pile shouldn't have fazed me one bit. Logically, there was no reason for me to care, but I couldn't just leave her. And of course, now that I'd picked a fight with the Lord, I had no choice but to follow through to the very end. I dashed for the Lord, scooping up one of the dropped swords and swinging it down on him. But my blade cut through nothing but air. Oh, is he actually pretty good with a sword? I'd assumed he'd be a pushover, another noble obsessed with money and power and helpless to defend himself, so there was no hiding the look of shock on my face. Damn, he can move. I feel like this is when Garnier's gonna step in and sacrifice himself, or like try and help Jacopo and die as a result. And that will be the final push for Jacopo to kill him. Barnier slid out of range, swiping the remaining sword off the ground and whipping it through the air with practiced grace. Perhaps you should save the snide yapping for when you have the skill to back it up, insignificant cur. Ha, we'll see if you still feel the same way when I'm through with you. I closed the gap. We clashed. He swung, I parried. Steel and steel ripped through the hot air, carving ephemeral silver arcs in empty space. Our blades locked. What are you hoping to accomplish with this revolt? What's your endgame? My endgame? To get out of this hellhole and be free from slavery once and for all. I have my doubts about whether you ever were a slave at all. But no matter. Why attack me? What do you care about the girl? What do you have to gain from saving her? He's right. I have nothing to gain from rescuing the girl. All I've accomplished is making this whole process needlessly messy. That said, do I need to have something to gain? Are you saying I should just sit back and watch as you murder an innocent little girl? I was angry, and I thought I'd do something about it. Nothing more, nothing less. Is that really so hard to understand? And that's just the thing about the fact when he says little girl, and then he has, like, romantic feelings for her, like, sir, you are 19, and she's 10. I do, like, I think that their relationship is very sweet, but that age gap is a little bit hard for me to, like, completely forget about. Nothing more than a childish hero complex. Just the answer I'd expect from a foolish little boy with his head in the clouds. Excuse me? You're a puny worm, powerless to truly save anyone. You merely want to help the girl so you can pat yourself on the back and pretend you did a good deed. You simply want an excuse to be proud of your worthless self. Look at her. The girl's hardly even breathing. She'll be dead soon enough with or without my help. Who do you think is to blame for that? You don't have any right to judge the value of her life. My role in this is irrelevant. Was saving a dead girl part of the plan? It wasn't, was it? You diverged from the script to rescue a girl whose life is of no worth to you whatsoever. Also, you could momentarily feel good about yourself. That misstep will be the downfall of you, worm. Enough. I'll put you back in the ground where you belong. Not a chance. God damn, for a flamboyantly dressed asshole, he sure can fight. There's not nearly as much force behind his swings as Gratien's, but he's quick. I can barely keep up, let alone react. I hope you enjoy eternity in hell. You'll have plenty of time to reflect on your little lapse in judgment. Damn it! I can't let this bastard kill me when we're so close to succeeding. I need to keep my cool. Yes, he's got me beat in agility, but Gratien is a much more skilled swordsman than him. I can handle this. Granted, Gratien was letting you, not lose. Sheer determination can only mask a lack of skill for so long, boy. Look at yourself. You're out of breath. That sword you're flailing around is getting heavier and heavier. Shut your mouth. Damn it, I've hardly even broken a sweat. I swear to God, I will have your head. Ha! Lord Barnier, your escape has been secured, my lord. It seems our fun is over. Be grateful you're still breathing, cur. Hey, wait, we're not done yet. Get back here, goddamn you. I made to go after him, but in an instant a wall of guards had formed between us. Traces of fear were visible in most of their eyes. Even exhausted as I was, I could have probably made it through. But before I could so much as consider attempting to give chase, I caught a glimpse of the girl, limp and covered in gashes, causing me to come back to my senses. I thought that the Lord died here. I mean, it's not over yet, but he's gonna make the decision to, like, go and save Morgana first. What's gotten into me? There's no point in going after him. The slave's been freed, and his valuables plundered. The plan was a huge success. What I should be concerned with now is getting myself out of here. I need to stay focused. I took a moment to survey the hall, reevaluate the situation. Things had progressed somewhat since I'd gotten in my head to go after the Lord. Many of the slaves were gone, and the guards were beginning to mobilize. They were better equipped, trained, and more fit than us, and we were, for the most part, fueled entirely by determination and righteous anger, which would only go so far in direct combat. Requiem was probably the only one on our side with any sort of real training. One man was not enough to win this fight, especially now that our main advantage, surprise, was exhausted. Hey, Jacobo, if you're finished with your business, I'd really like to get the hell out of here. I may be a badass, but I ain't a god. Right, yeah, sorry for the holdup. Before regrouping with Requiem, I knelt before the girl. Hello, can you stand? Hello, can you hear me? I gently shook the girl by the shoulder, and the only response I got was a limp wag of her head. It was clear she was in no condition to walk. I guess I'll have to carry her, I thought, and made to pick her up. When I saw her face, and gasped, Dear God, it was horrific. Unsettling marks covered the young girl's face. Primal repulsion was my first reaction. Shortly thereafter came overwhelming pity. I obviously had no way of knowing what kind of life this girl had led, but something told me it was far worse than any of the countless children who grew up in the slums, struggling day after day. Hey, get moving! I ain't waiting around. I'm coming. I grabbed the girl's arms, wrapping them around my neck from behind, and climbed to my feet. I could feel her breath, faint though it was, on my ear. You hang in there. And then I broke into a dash, leaving the fading panic of the great hall behind. Oh my gosh! Did they? Requiem actually made it out. I thought for sure that he was donezo. And I thought the Lord died there. I guess I was mistaken. So bright. Light? Am I in heaven? God damn, she's surprisingly heavy for how little meat she has on her. What, you think she'd get lighter the harder you ran or something? Just ditch the stupid kid. She ain't long for this world anyway. Damn, Requiem. Harsh. Hell no. I'm not gonna let all that effort facing off against the Lord go to waste. You're one stubborn son of a bitch, you know that? This is not heaven. Who are these people? Where am I going? I don't have the strength to think right now. Hey, don't you go dying on me back there. Please, I'm begging you. I'm so sleepy. Sleep. That sounds wonderful. How nice it would be to fall asleep on such a warm back. We're probably safe here, for the time being. So, what next? First, I need to take her somewhere she can get some rest. Ah, you got nothing in that head of yours except that half-dead girl, do you, kid? What, you fall for her or something? Is that what gets your rocks off? Can you only get it up for the ugliest thing in the city? Dude, Requiem, I thought you were cool, man. Not to mention, she can't be older than 10. This I agree with. I'm with him on that. I mean, I know that Jacobo doesn't have romantic feelings for her yet. I like to think of myself as open-minded, but that squicks me out, man. I just love the idea of, like, what time are they in right now? Like, very early times, and the idea of him being, like, squick. I don't know. That's, like, a modern word to me. No, God, no. Absolutely not. I'm merely concerned for her well-being. Right. Of course you are. Well, everyone's got their kinks. I love how Gretien's like, you can only be concerned for a girl or a woman or someone of the opposite sex if, like, you want to bone them, like, not just because you're a decent person. I swear to God. What I'm wanting to know is, what are you planning to do about all those slaves you just freed? They can't stay here. Not even a chance to defend myself. Right. My people are taking care of that. They've made arrangements with several slave traders who have agreed to transport them to other cities. After that, who knows? So, yeah, they're still slaves, but hopefully they won't at least have such a horrible owner. So you set them free and then just abandon them? Obviously. I'm not some rich kid playing hero. I gave who knows how many people the opportunity to change their lives. I think I did damn good work, if you ask me. Fair enough. Can't expect you to give them the world. Setting the slaves free wasn't even the main objective. You're more perceptive than you look. Damn straight. Anywho, I'm planning to stick around for a bit. You still owe me that night with a pretty lady. In that case, you should head down to the pub. You'll probably find some of my people there. The ones who weren't injured, at least. Aye, aye. I'm looking forward to seeing Maria again. As much as I'd like to take her to a real doctor, I'd probably do best not to show my face in the city proper so soon after making a mess of the Lord's manor. If one of his guards were to spot me, it would probably not end well. Which means she's my only hope. Hey, there's my girl. Ugh, it's still afternoon. We're not open till evening. It's me, Maria. Let me in. Jacobo, you're alive? You have any idea how worried I was? I mean, fucking hell, I haven't slept in 2 weeks. I'd bet my life I just woke you. Oh, shove it. It's the sentiment that counts. Anyway, I'm glad you're... Wait, what the hell is that on your back? A corpse? She'll be one soon if we don't do something. But for the time being, she's still alive. Whoa, 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 whoa. Stop right there. I have about 1,000 things I want to say right now, but let's start with this. What exactly are you planning to do with her? I mean, she looks like she got mauled by a fucking lion. I need to stay low for a while. I can't risk showing my face in the city. So I was wondering if you'd mind letting her stay here for a while. Excuse me? Let her stay here? And if you could look after her while she's here, I'd appreciate it. No, stop. Time out. I'm not doing anything without an explanation. First of all, who is she? And what the hell happened to her? The Lord was torturing her. I rescued her during the revolt. Okay, keep going. That's all there is to it. That's a pretty pathetic explanation. I'm telling you, that's all there is to it. What more do you want from me? So you're telling me you infiltrated the Lord's manor to swipe a half-dead little girl you'd never even met before. You couldn't have gone for, I don't know, something actually worth money? She's just skin and bones, and God knows if those wounds will ever heal. Though, if she's pretty enough, we might be able to put her to work, I guess. Damn, like, she's 10. Like, I know that's the times, they're tough, but let me get a quick look at... I have no words. I can't. Please, Maria. The longer we stay here, the closer she gets to death. And once she recovers, if she even does, what then? How does she pay for her food? Because she sure as shit can't work here. I'm not sure there's much work she can even do. We're a business, not a charity. If I'm going to be putting my time and money into looking after her, I need something in return. And she doesn't look like she'll be able to offer much of anything. I can offer some financial assistance. We plundered a decent amount of valuables from the Lord's treasury. Even after we divide everything up, my share should be enough to support her for some time. I don't get it. Why do you care so much? What, do you expect me to just leave her to die? I wouldn't be able to live with myself knowing I could have done something to prevent it. I swear to God, does anyone have a damned heart? Because everyone sure seems hell-bent on letting her die. Whoa, relax, chill. You've lived here long enough, Jacobo. You should know as well as anyone, morals and good intentions aren't enough to help anyone. I don't care. I want to help her. She can't be older than 10, and her face could very well still heal. I couldn't stand to see her life end like this. Abused and tortured by a madman? It's downright cruel. She deserves better. She deserves to know the world's not all hell and misery. And then everything that happens to her after, like, gosh, I know Morgana had some good times, but then, like, the worst of it is still to come. And even, like, and the worst thing knowing that Jacobo is to blame partially for things just getting worse for her later. Oh, fine, fine. You win. I surrender. I know better than anyone. There's no changing your mind once you've set on something. God, you can be so hot-headed sometimes. Yeah, look who's talking. He's probably going to say something like that. So, will you help? Well, it's not like anyone else is going to. Now, whether she makes it or not is a question of how much that scrawny body of hers is determined to hold on. So, what are you waiting for? Bring her in. Thank you, Maria. I really appreciate it. Blech, cut it with the mushy crap. You're gonna make me spew. Just stick to your usual snippy bitch act. I'm gonna get a bath going. Give me a hand. She should be able to get some rest here. Hardly anyone comes back here, even during business hours. I have to say, though, even cleaned up, she is a damned mess. People say the Lord's a twisted bastard, but this is way worse than I imagined. Who would do this to such a young girl? Oh, and for the record, I checked, and she is still, chaste, if you would. Good to know the Lord's not that fucked up, I guess. Thank goodness for small blessings. Not that preserving her virginity is a whole lot of comfort compared to what he did do. Maria, show a little common decency, would you? Telling a whore to be decent is like telling a cat to bark. Well, start barking, goddammit. Why do you even need to think I need to know whether she's chaste or not? I checked, so I figured I'd mention it. Keep it to yourself. You know, for someone who spends so much time in a whorehouse, you sure are easily embarrassed. I love the rapport between these two. Huh? What was that? Oh, nothing. Besides, the only reason I'm here so much is to help out with the business side of things, not to make use of the facilities. So you did hear me. Oh, hey, Maria. Oh, is she coming too? Hey there, how you feeling? Can you see me? I've got some warm water if you're up to drinking anything. Still too weak to move on your own, it looks like. That's alright. Hang on, I'll go grab it and help you out. Oh, Lord. It sounds like she just said something. Of thy mercy, cut off mine enemies. Huh? Enemies? All of them that afflict my soul. Hello? You okay in there? For I am thy servant, O Lord. They're like, oh no, we've got like a religious loony here. It's okay, he's not here. We escaped. He can't hurt you anymore. Of thy mercy. It's okay. Destroy all them. Hey, Jacobo, not to be indecent, but I think she might, be beyond repair. And not just physically. No need to jump to conclusions. She could simply be disoriented. You're safe. There are no enemies here. No need to be afraid. You'll be feeling better in no time. You just need some rest. The human body is incredibly adept at repairing itself. I'll have some ointment for you soon, too. You'll what? Ointment? How are you expecting to pay for... Don't interrupt me, Maria. Christ. Just hang in there a little longer. You'll be all better before you know it. If there's anything you need or want, don't hesitate to ask. I'll get you anything within reason. I guess it'll still be a bit before you can talk much, huh? Maria, I need to drop by the pub for a bit. I'll get some ointment on my way. Butterfly. Butterfly. Brooch. Gone. Oh, that's right. Butterfly brooch. What's she talking about? Is she seeing things or something? Perhaps, or maybe, the Lord took it from her. My treasure. Alright, I'll see if I can find it while I'm out. If it's something the Lord took from you, there's a chance it might be in the stuff we looted from his manor. I'll be back later today. You'll get some rest, okay? Look after her while I'm gone, would you, Maria? I already agreed, so it's not like I can say no. Just remember, I've got work to do, so I can't be with her every waking moment. A room, a warm blanket, and you checking up on her every once in a while is more than enough. Thank you. Anyway, I'll be back. Ciao. Hey, Jacobo? Yeah? Don't get in over your head, okay? I won't. Alright, and then I charged in, me trusty blade held high, cutting off Barnier's last escape route. The poor bastard straight up and pissed himself, begging and crying for his life. You were never even in the same room as him, you lying scoundrel. I'm so mad he got away. It ain't the details, but the spirit what matters, and I had enough spirit in me to bring the Lord himself to his knees. Forget this worthless twit. I took out 20 guards all by myself. Scar on my back is a trophy, proof of my valiant exploits in Fata. I think all the yelling opened the wound again. The only thing a scar on your back proves is you turned tail and ran, you little chicken shit. You tell him. Well, it certainly looks like they're enjoying themselves. Perhaps a little too much, going by how many seem to have drunk themselves comatose. Not that I don't understand wanting to celebrate. Oh, at last you grace us with your presence. Where the hell you been? We've been waiting. Word is he made a mad dash for the whorehouse soon as he got back. I see how it is. You'd rather celebrate with her than us. Must be nice putting prostitutes before your comrades at arms. I'm not putting anyone before anyone. An old friend of mine works there, nothing more. No need to be bashful. You can make up for it by getting your butt over here and drinking with us. You were the star of the show, after all. The what? You were the one who infiltrated the Lord's manor. Today wouldn't have been possible without you. You did good work, and everyone here knows it. For the record, I was going to do it myself, but I decided to let you have the honor. I could have rallied the slaves together in half the time it took you. Tell that to the scar on your back, chicken shit. You tell him. I see risking your lives hasn't made you three any less unruly. But I'm glad you all made it out alive, truly. On that note, do we have any idea what the casualty numbers look like? Bunch of wounded, but nobody dead. Good fortune was on our side. Raw, unmatched skill, you mean? We're the trifecta of terror. The trifecta of twats, more like. The only reason you and your band made it out unscathed is because we slaves were on the front lines. You have any idea how many we lost? Gratien. Hello again. You're looking surprisingly sober. Not drinking, huh? Just finished my first cask, actually. Let me tell you, these guys are damn lightweights. Hardly even put up a fight. So the pile of bodies in the corner is Gratien's doing, then. What on earth is his stomach made of? So, boys, if you really think you're such hot shit, then how about you show me what you're made of? Let's drink, see if you live up to that trifecta of tarts or whatever the hell it was. We actually, we want to take our time drinking, you know, enjoy ourselves. Over yonder. Yeah, the wound on my back hurts if I drink too much, besides. You tell him. Godspeed, Jacobo. Wait, get back here. God damn it. Bunch of pussies. You wouldn't run on me now, would you, kid? I still have things to take care of. I have to find somewhere to get ointment, and I'm looking for a missing butterfly brooch as well. A brooch? You mean this thing? Yes, that. That must be it. The girl said it belongs to her. Can I have it so I can give it back? I don't know. I am the one who found it. There's plenty more in the loot pile. What do you care about a worthless scrap of metal? I think it looks pretty cute on me, to be honest. What a load of bull. Fine, I'll bite. What do you want for it? Ha, I'm glad you asked. Beat me in a drinking contest, and it's all yours. Excuse me? Beat you? You went through an entire cask. What, we haven't even started and you're already admitting defeat? For the star of the show, you sure are a wuss. I feel like Jacobo might be able to swipe it. He's sneaky like that. Or maybe he can do, like, some sort of sleight of hand to make it look like he's drinking when he's not. And beat Gratien in a drinking contest? We'll see. Guess I shouldn't be surprised. The revolt never would have happened without me. Soon everyone will know who the real star of today's show was. Yours truly. Maybe this is why Jacobo never talked about him and be like, this guy's a little bit of a douche sometimes. Fine. If you're so desperate for a playmate, I'm down for your little game. But let me tell you, I hold my liquor quite well, thank you very much. I'll wipe that smug grin off your face and shove it in a barrel full of your own vomit. Ha! That's the fucking spirit. That prissy little face of yours will be licking the chamber pot when I'm done with ya. Hey fellas, Gratien and Jacobo are having a drinking contest. Gratien? Who the hell is that? Do we have a Gratien? Right over there, the big fella. He helped with the revolt. He used to be a gladiator. A gladiator? Those still exist? I'm putting my money on Gratien. Bloody traitor. Jacobo's been with us from the very beginning. I'm betting on him. Ha, looks like we've drawn quite the crowd. You got yourself an impressive little fan club, kid. When you've been in the slums as long as I have, you get to know pretty much everyone. More to humiliate you in front of. Right then, the rules are simple. Whoever stays conscious longest wins. though I doubt it'll be much of a contest. Yeah, you just keep pretending you have a chance. The truth will hit you soon enough. On the count of 3. I don't know if, Morgana, did she ever get her brooch back? I just love the idea of, like, they're setting it up like, Jacopo will be able to do something to win, and then he just doesn't. 3. Wah! What's the matter, kid? You're looking a little sluggish, and this is only glass 4. Shh. And you gotta think, like, Gratien had a head start on him, and he's still doing better. Look at you. Your eyes are going bloodshot. You're all talk after all. You keep telling yourself that. Hey, booze wench, keep 'em coming. I could do this for hours. More. Fill her up. Hehehe, I was quicker than you that time. Shit, maybe Jacopo will just straight up win just through being a better drinker. Ugh, you're better than you look. But don't forget, I got a full cask on you. You're running with a handicap. I'm not the one who challenged you. You're just making excuses for when I beat your ass. Ugh. Ugh. How many does this make? 10? 20? I've lost count. Throwing in the towel, are you? Heh. Shit, what did I tell you? Step aside, kid. This is a man's world. Are you even hearing yourself? Ugh. Shut your stupid, prissy kid face, kid. I never liked you. Not for 1 second. What, resorting to childish insults now, are we? I was planning to start a revolt long before you even showed up. Then you came marching in and took all the glory for yourself. Fuggy, who do you even think you are? Ugh, where were you now? Well, I'll have you know, I never liked you either. You think that just because you can swing a sword around like a big ape, that makes you better than everyone? What the frick did you friggin' say about me, you little punk? You wanna go? You wanna go? If you wanna go, take another drink. Isn't that what we're doing this for? Huh? Oh, fuck, that's right. Fill us up again, wench. Ugh. The world is spinning. Ugh. That all you got? Your face is red as a baboon's ass. And you're pale as a fucking corpse. One more round. I'll crush ya. You can try. Excuse me, she's like, we're out of alcohol. What? What's your problem? Booze. Where's the booze? I think they literally are. Please don't be angry with me, but, well, we're all out of everything. You're what? Go get more. This ain't the only pub in town. I have. Everyone's out. Everywhere. So, this is like the last thing. It's like a stalemate. It's a draw? How anticlimactic. Seriously, what a load of bull. Oh, he just fell over. He's just sleeping. God, he may be the rowdiest man I ever met. Just swipe it from him while he's sleeping. As long as he never catches you again, you'll be okay. Is he going to be okay? That looked like it really hurt. Leave him be. He'll wake up when he needs to piss. Probably. And on that note, I'll be in the latrine. Ugh. Maria, it's almost time to open up. Gotcha, I'll be out in a sec. You get some rest, hear me? I've got to run for a bit, but you shouldn't have to worry about anyone coming back here. There's an urn filled with water in the mess hall if you get thirsty. You can't hear a word I'm saying, can you? Well, night. I entreat you to think long and hard about your actions. Like, Maria, she seems like she's, like, you know, all tough and stuff, but, like, she was being quite nice with her. Oh, is this a flashback to when, yeah, when he first got her? Welcome, daughter of God. You'll be performing miracles for me now. A man stood before me. There were several young girls in the room, and I like it's got the red whenever it's Morgana, just like in the first game. They looked like prostitutes. Some of them might have been boys. The man's clothes were beautiful. His jewelry glimmered in the light. His eyes glimmered too, but with madness, not beauty. He was the lord of the land. I'd been taken from my home, and now I was kneeling before the Lord. And if you cooperate, I can guarantee you'll live more than comfortably. I looked up at the Lord sternly. He was a scary man, but I couldn't let fear stand in my way. I was the daughter of God. his beloved servant on this earth. I had to act according to his will. Miracles are not something to be performed for one single person's benefit. What? Miracles are not magic or parlor tricks. They are a precious gift granted to me by my Father in heaven. Using his power for personal gratification is a grave sin. I will do no such thing. I entreat you to think long and hard about your actions. Do away with such selfish desires and dedicate yourself to helping the people. The power you've been given was bestowed upon you by the hand of God. It is not your power. He is merely allowing you to make use of it for a short time. Pride is a sin. Please consider how you conduct yourself. You're an ignorant, insolent child, aren't you? I bought you. You are my property. You have no right to an opinion. That is not my opinion. That is the way of the world, as God. Silence! You are not here to talk. You're here to perform miracles for me and my guests. The Lord glared angrily down at me. I gulped, biting my lip to keep it from trembling. I steeled myself, fought down every urge to look away. As I have already told you, I will do no such thing. But the Lord would not hear it. With a sickening laugh, he took a step toward me. What you will or will not do is my decision, not yours. No, get your hands off. He grabbed me by the hair and threw me to the hard floor. It seems you need someone to show you your place, child. You are my property. You are to do as I say. You are not to talk back or criticize. And you are to give everything to me. Your life, your body, your soul, your love. Ugh. I mean, Maria did say that she was chaste, but still, you wouldn't think it when he talks like that. Every last thing. My love and my soul are for my Father only, for God. I am no man's property. You can call yourself whatever you want. You still feel pain like everyone else. You still scream. What's a little scratch on the arm anyway? How many times have you cut yourself performing miracles, saint? Surely you're accustomed to the pain by now. Gah. Ha ha ha. Now for the first taste of your so-called miracle blood. I imagine it must be truly exquisite if what they say about you is to be believed, that your birth brought an end to a terrible drought. No. Yes, give unto me your blessing, saint. Please, I beg of you, don't do this. I'm begging you, please. Ha ha ha. Ugh, just the sound effects. Gross. My blood was meant for the sick, the poor, the suffering. My miracles were meant for those who needed them. Is this another of your trials for me, Father? People. There are so many people. They're looking at me and laughing? Well, well, good morning, daughter of God. I hope you slept well. What's going on? What are all these people doing here? As I told you, you're here to perform miracles for me and my guests. No. I tried to twist away, but a jolt of pain ran up my arms. Looking down, I saw heavy shackles around my wrists. I was sitting atop a white sheet on what looked like an altar, and I was naked. No, why am I... Now, surely you, the daughter of God herself, are not ashamed of the body your father gave you, are you? You're not some lowly peasant girl. You're above shame, aren't you? Ha! What do you think you're doing? This is an act of blasphemy. The Lord pressed his hand against my mouth, bringing his face in just inches from mine. I would encourage you to not insult my guests, Saint. Your job is to provide them with your blood, not give sermons. He placed a knife against my neck. Intense pain jolted through my body. No tears. Now that's a good girl. It simply wouldn't be the same if you cried and blubbered like a lowly slave or a whore. Dignified and saintly. That's what I need you to be. Bah-ha-ha. The Lord brought up a goblet to my neck, filling it with the blood flowing from the gash. He raised it high into the air. Cheers! A saint's blood and good fortune to all. And then started passing it around to his guests. I'm just like, maybe in like the times of COVID, I'm just like, that is very unsanitary. Not just the blood thing, but like all drinking out of the same goblet. Staring hazily out to the crowd, I prayed. Prayed someone might speak up. Might proclaim this to be the terrible affront against the Lord that it was. Might declare that I should be set free. That someone, anyone, would speak against the Lord. What a wonderfully curious item you found yourself with, Lord Barnier. Indeed, you never fail to surprise my lord. But his wealthy companions had no objections. In fact, they were quite pleased, smiling and laughing with teeth bared. Most of them looked like they had never gone a day in their lives without a proper meal. And all of them were wearing masks to hide their faces. An unholy Sabbath. A filthy, perverse blood Sabbath. My consciousness began slipping away, not from pain, but despair. I couldn't bear the sight of them, these men and women who didn't fear God, reveling in depravity. They were monsters dressed in fancy clothing. Or perhaps they were demons, taking the form of humans. And these were the gates of hell. The Lord held such banquets on a regular basis, and every time he did, he drained me of my blood. Before long, my body was covered in scars and gashes. I could hardly even bear to look at my own arms and legs. In some places, I was purple and swollen. In others, my skin seemed to curl back to reveal the raw pink flesh beneath. Everywhere, I was wet and slick with blood. The wounds were far worse, far more hideous than any I'd given myself to help the people of my village. It was gut-wrenching, repulsive. The Lord sometimes had trouble deciding where to cut, but not out of any sense of sympathy for me. He simply thought that drawing blood from an untouched area of my body would make it more effective. Perhaps I'll use your stomach today, Saint. I should be able to get some nice pure blood from there. At that point in time, I hadn't been completely stripped of my willpower quite yet. Because my physical restraints prevented me from fighting back, I put all my energy into ensuring my spirit did not yield to him. Stop this. Can you not comprehend that what you're doing is an affront to the Lord? I'm free to do what I want with my property. Saint or not, you are no different than any of my slaves. The Lord is greatly displeased with your actions. Then use your miracle powers to deliver divine punishment on me. Go on. You can do that, can't you? Your soul will be punished. You may not see the effects now, but you will pay for your sins one day. Ha! You're not as threatening as you think you are, buck-naked girl. Don't give me that look, girl. I have no interest in taking that from you. You'd be lucky to find anyone willing to lay with a girl covered in disgusting scars. Oh, I almost forgot. You need to eat too, don't you, daughter of God? I'm told consuming meat increases the amount of blood your body produces, so I've acquired some special exotic meat just for you. I don't want your meat. Ugh, that sounds wrong in so many ways. Now, don't be difficult. I can't have you running out of blood on me, so you will eat this meat, even if I have to force it down that tiny throat of yours. Slave boy, get in here. Bring the saint her supper. Hurry up, you worthless worm. My apologies for keeping you waiting, my lord. You dare drop food before your lord, cur? And she's probably going to see him, like, kill that slave boy right in front of her, and then she's just, like, will just be even more like, I want to curse him, but I can't, because I am a saint. You've ruined my robes. Ah, are you incapable of even carrying a damn plate across the room? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Stop it, please. Does he really deserve to be hit for that? A slave's sole purpose in life is to serve their master. A slave who cannot follow simple orders deserves whatever punishment I decide they deserve, Saint. Please have mercy. Don't kill me too. I beg of you. All right. Then this is how we'll handle it. If you eat the meat, Saint, I'll turn a blind eye to the boy's mistake. Okay, I'll do it. I'll eat the meat. However much you want, I'll eat it. So please, do not raise your hand against the boy any further. Very well. With a satisfied smirk, the Lord returned the fallen meat to the plate and set it before me. I almost gagged at the stench. It didn't appear to be spoiled, but nonetheless it was indescribably unpleasant. In no small part, I imagine, because it was raw. That's how you get worms. That's how you get all the problems. I was like, I'm pretty sure he would be able to cook the meat. Is that just like a weird thing? I am like convinced that this guy is like a part vampire. Didn't I say that in the first Fata Morgana? I kept saying like something about how like people were vampires. Michelle specifically was a vampire. I can't seem to let that go. But I mean, look at this dude. Like, you can't... I know he doesn't have actual fangs, but, like, with his goblet of blood and stuff and the way he's dressed, like, come on, man. Eating raw meat. What's the matter? You said you'd eat. Or was that simply a lie? To stay my hand, daughter of God. I'll eat it. My hands were still shackled, so I had no choice but to bend forward and take a piece into my mouth like a wild animal. I tried to clear my mind, to not think about what I was doing. How I must have looked, a holy saint of the Lord, unclothed and in chains, gnawing at raw meat like a stray dog. Miserable. Disgraceful. Ugh, it smells so bad. I've never tasted anything like this before. I bet that's people. Why? What? Why? What did he do? He? Oh, yeah. What did he do? Probably like you're eating a person. The slave boy, still on the floor from the Lord's beating, was looking over at me with vacant eyes. Because that's probably like an affront too. Like that's a sin. Is probably eating human flesh, I can only imagine. Or rather, at the meat. No. No, you wouldn't. This isn't... Is it? Whoa, he didn't deserve this. No, I would never. I couldn't. No. Ugh. Well, well, is the meat not to your liking then, Saint? Hear that, slave? The Saint says your brother tastes so bad it makes her retch. Oh, shit. Ha ha ha. Wow. Wow. To have the slave have to serve his own brother's meat. No, I didn't know. But you didn't keep your word now, did you? Listen up, boy. Eek. It's the dungeon for you. No, 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 no. Please, no. Please, 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 no. Guards, someone shut this worm up and toss him in the dungeon. Please, no. He's mad. Everyone's completely mad. How can a man like him, a man so twisted and cruel, exist on God's earth? Someone, please, get me out of here. Take me away from this place. Anyone. O Father, who art in heaven, I pray for you to lead me unto deliverance. Father, your trials, they are much too great. Alright, so that will do it for part 1 of my House in Fata Morgana, a Requiem for Innocence Let's Play, and it's just as dark and sad as I figured it would be, because, like, we know that there's not really a happy ending for these characters, and, like, I knew it was brutal, but to go into the detail about Morgana's suffering and just all the horrible things that Barnier did, it makes me so mad that he didn't die. But I'm sure that he did die at some point. I just can't remember, like, how he died. It must have been later that Jacopo got, like, his revenge on him or something. But, like, I'm like Morgana, like, I want him to get his punishment, and I want to see that, especially, like, going into the detail about how he, like, cannibalizes, and he's just so much worse. Like, I knew he was bad, but just seeing the detail, just like, oh my god, I hate this dude. But I really like Jacopo even more, and, like, he's such a douche in the original Fata Morgana, so you got his backstory, and to see him, like, when he was younger, he's a good person. So yeah, we're gonna see what happens next, and I hope you guys did enjoy part 1 of this. I hope you are, like, enjoying me getting back into this game. I forgot how much I like these characters, and it's good to see them again, although it's sad at the same time, knowing, like, just the horrible experiences that they had to deal with. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned next week for part 2. Until then, bye guys. Special thanks to my top tier patrons: Kiori Makoto, SM, Revealing Storm, Tequila Mockingbird, Asborn Kennedy, Harry Gazif, Icognito, Jared Fan, Joel Ustman, and Zoran Ether.